The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Sunday, February the 22nd, 2026.
You know who you are? Steeven is my name. Even Steeven.
Will you say something, Steeven?
Steeven Orhouse Media.
You're listening to the Comic Book Super Show, and this is episode number 3, Death. Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how you doing?
Pretty good. I have been much enjoying the 50-degree weather we've been having the last 3-4 days.
See, it's flipped.
Yes and no. It's supposed to snow pretty nastily this weekend, and the extended forecast says potentially the same next weekend. So
yeah. Well, because last time, what did I tell you? It was like 63 or something at one point.
Yeah, it was very decent your way.
Later that afternoon, I almost sent you a message through Blue Sky because it got up to 72. And I almost just went, now it's 72. But now, 22 degrees.
22, yes.
Feels
Winter
like
is
9.
back. Yeah.
With the wind chill, it feels like 9. So, yeah, I went out there to feed the outdoor cats about an hour ago, and it was cold as hell.
I bet, yeah. Out there in that flatlands, that wind is a bitch.
Actually, where we are in eastern Kansas, there's quite a number of hills. In fact, we live on the main hill of our town, which my mom would always tell me, because she grew up here, that in the winters when it snowed, they would just block off the road and they'd sled down this big long hill.
Nice, yes.
Yep, that would have been fun.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah. All right, that was our weather. Do we have any sports? I don't. I'm not a sports guy.
Well, the Winter Olympics are going on right now, but I haven't been following them too much. Probably as we record, the gold medal men's hockey game probably has finished by now. I think it was going off earlier this morning, about 9. I think I looked, and this is 2 hours later. Yeah, so the gold medal and silver medal actually probably have been awarded in men's hockey here recently as we record.
Yeah,
I don't know how it went, but yeah. So,
all right. But when I got up this morning, did my normal morning routine stuff. Sat down to just chill for an hour or so before I had to start getting everything ready for the live stream. I read the book last night, or read the issue last night, but I didn't start really putting the notes together till this morning. So I wanted to give myself 9 a.m., an hour before we got live, to sit down and start doing that stuff. So I started watching a movie on Netflix, The Rip, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. It's got Steve Yeun, who the voice of Invincible, and he was Glenn in Walking Dead.
Right.
It's loosely based on a true story, because apparently there's a crooked cop in it who, I don't know if they make it sound like that's a fictional character, but it's good cops, bad cops. It's like a drug task force for the Miami PD that goes in and seizes assets of, big drug people who sell drugs. And one of their captain was murdered at the beginning of the movie, and they call him a rip. We're going to go on a rip.
Is that the one where like Damon wants to keep the movie and Affleck doesn't like that, or something like that? Yeah, I haven't finished it yet. I've got about an hour left, but they appear to be at odds at this point.
Yeah,
and frankly, I think
where I left off, Affleck may be dead, and Damon may have murdered him. We don't know,
dude. Okay, yeah.
I don't consider that a spoiler because we don't know the outcome of it yet.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember the teasers for that.
Other than that, I just finished issue number 25 of the Titan Conan the Barbarian run.
Yes, okay.
Which was really good. It was a King Conan story.
How far along are they? Are they in the 40s?
I think they just released 28 or 29.
Oh, okay. I thought I had seen up in the 40s.
Maybe
already.
30, because I feel like, because I get review copies, PDFs, which have like big watermarks across them, but you're able to read them. I get those because I used to talk about the issues before they came out on Hither Came Conan for like the first 8 of them. But I think I just got the preview copy for 31, maybe 30 or 31. I can't remember because I'm not caught up, so I don't read them. Right. And there's also at least a 4-issue and a second 4-issue crossover that I have to start, like Scourge of the Serpent King or something like that.
Okay.
That's 4 issues, and then I'll have 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, something like that.
Okay.
Before I get caught up. All right. Today we're looking at Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 3 from Marvel Comics. This issue sports a cover date of January 1985, though it hit the stands in October of 1984. It sold for just 75 cents, and it is entitled Death. It was written by Chris Claremont with art by Al Milgrom. The letters were by Tom Orzechowski, and the colorist was Glynis Wein. Wolverine is in Tokyo looking for Kitty Pryde, who went to Japan after her father. A Japanese woman called Yukio jumps on Wolverine as he's staking out a temple, and after a brief fight and a long kiss, he asks her about Kitty and Shigematsu. Later, Wolverine is attacked by a ninja wearing a red demon mask. The ninja throws a stink bomb at him, shoots an arrow into his leg, and poisons him with their tiger claws. Wolverine has to flee and hide himself in an alley to let his powers heal him. Yukio finds Carmen Pryde, Kitty's father, drunk in one of Shigematsu Industries' rooms. There she is attacked by Shumai, an ex-sumo fighter and Shigematsu's bodyguard. She throws him from the window, but grabs his hand at the end just to be pushed down by him, together with Carmen. Yukio manages to save them both. Meanwhile, the ninja finally manages to find the alley where Wolverine has hidden himself in order to recuperate, but the ninja finds his hiding spot abandoned. Wolverine has had time to heal, and he is now hunting the ninja through the streets of Japan until they end up at a nearby railway station. The battle begins in the subway, but as the issue ends, the demon mask falls away, and the ninja is revealed to be, well, let's not give that away just yet, shall we? I mean, we all know, but
fair enough.
I have the ending here in the synopsis, but you know what? Let's save that for when we talk through it. Ed, what'd you think of this issue?
It's a continuation of the series. I read it this morning. Lots of nostalgia feels reading it. So I enjoyed it. I like this period of X-Men. Took me a while to read the book because I kept falling down rabbit holes, but that's pretty typical. It's a good, solid, fun read. A definite continuation of the first 2 issues. And halfway through this mini, if I hadn't read it before, I would certainly be hoping at this point that things continue the way that they have been as far as the story, because I have been enjoying it.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Kitty Pryde is listed first in the title. Anybody who goes into this hoping for a Wolverine book, they're getting some Wolverine, but this is not a Wolverine book. This is a Kitty Pryde book.
Right. No, he is definitely a supporting character for the story, which is about Kitty Pryde at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, but with this issue, we finally get to see him throwing down. We saw a little bit of it in the last issue, but we get to see more of it in this issue. In fact, once we start going, once you start taking us through it, there's a notable difference in tone just on the first page, because this one is being narrated by Wolverine.
Right. Whereas, he is our point of view.
Yeah.
Whereas previously, I guess, definitely for the first issue, it was Kitty.
Yeah.
For the second issue, it may have been a neutral narrator, maybe.
Yeah, I think the second and third one was kind of up in the air. I hadn't thought about it, so I wasn't really looking for it. So
Right. Typically, I think anytime I read a comic book that it's neutral, unless something is just thrown out there to jog me otherwise. So I always assume it's a neutral third person.
Yeah, especially in this era.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You ready to take us through this sucker, deep dive it and everything?
Let's do it. Starting on the cover here that Steven has up for those on the video, and he went right by it as I was talking about it because it's like, screw that. And,
well, you said starting with the cover, so naturally my instincts took us to page 1.
Yeah, okay. For those of you just listening to the audio of the podcast, sorry, this won't have as much effect unless you're sitting with the book actually in front of you, which is definitely what I would recommend, because that's kind of what we are doing as we record. So you would definitely be part of that.
Unless you're driving or leading.
If you're driving, just hold up your phone as you're driving, like it's a heads-up display.
Hang it in front of your face.
Way out. Yeah. So we continue the cover cut in two motif, the half page motif that we have had. The corner bar or the corner box, whatever, is that what that's called? The corner box?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound quite right.
One,
something
the one up at the top?
on the left, yeah. The
where
corner
gives you the issue number. I think that's just called a corner box.
It's really big here.
Yeah.
I think, and it's got Wolverine's face and Kitty's face facing each other in it, which is kind of cool. And for those of us that are gray beards, long in the tooth, whatever you want to call it, there's a whole thing about these boxes nostalgically that people will get and visit. And I don't know if there's actually a podcast that's come out about them, but I know there is a website that shows over the eras, different. Yeah. So depending on how deep into it you want to get, it can be a thing. But for me, it's not a thing. I just notice them.
Yeah, this is not the art. Obviously, the art in that corner box is specific to this issue. But the bit below it where it shows 75 cents, it shows that it's issue 3 in Jan. That we talked about the golden age for each person, their golden age in comics, and this being my golden age for. This was my corner box for many years.
Okay,
when they were 75 cents. This is what for some reason. That's what my mind remembers that for some reason, as far as the 75 cent corner part of the corner box. And then of course the Spider-Man head down below, if you're looking at an issue that was sold direct in the
I was going to say
that
store. Denotes it's direct.
Yes.
If it's newsstand, it has the bar. What is that called?
It's got the barcode in there. Yep.
Barcode. Yeah. So that's one quick way to tell the difference at this time. I don't even know if they really do that anymore. I think they just they make cover variants, but it's like the art. It's not that small a thing.
This was when, because technically, if there were issues made for this, if there were copies made for this issue that were sold in grocery stores or on the newsstand that had the barcode, then technically that cover and this cover are considered alternate variant covers.
Right.
But they weren't done for marketing purposes like they are now.
I think also standardly, if you go to buy these, the newsstand is less expensive if you buy them secondhand than the direct market will be. Not substantially, but some. Okay.
But for anybody who's younger than us, I think most people of our generation had at least one, probably more, issues in our collection that didn't have a cover on them at all. Something that we'd picked up at a garage sale or somewhere like that. And that's because back in the day, for you youngsters, back in the day, when they sold in the direct market, they got an advantage for selling on newsstands, because just like a book, if you order so many copies, if they don't sell, you can return them for some of your money back. But all that the distributor required from you was the cover. Rip the cover off, return it. And then they would sell the issue without the cover for like
double up on the money
for like 25 cents or something. Yep, to recoup whatever percentage you got back, probably whatever was left, that's probably what they sold it for. So,
and that was newsstand only. That wasn't, you couldn't do that in the direct market.
No, at the direct market, if you bought 100 copies to sell and you sold 3 of them, you were stuck with the rest of them.
Yeah. Essentially, direct market, you bought the product.
Yeah.
For newsstand, it was, words are tough for me today. When you, consignment, in essence, it was a consignment situation for the newsstand. So after a period of time, what you didn't sell, if you wanted to send back to try to get some money back, you would do as Steeven just indicated. And then the more, underhanded, because it was illegal to do that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
If you tore the cover off, you were supposed to dispose of the book, but people are like, What? I'll put them over here in a box and I'll get a quarter a piece. I mean,
suddenly they're gone and there's all these quarters laying here. I don't know.
I mean, whatever. I threw them out back, and it's So that's what some of the less scrupulous people would do.
Yeah.
They, like I say, they would double up on getting money for the book. Not a whole lot of money, because without the cover, people aren't going to pay even cover price.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yep. Yeah.
But you could get something for it.
Those were the issues that were bought by people who just needed to read the issue because they didn't
just
have
wanted
it,
to read.
And they weren't interested in completing a collection. That maybe they're missing that one issue, and it's like, look, this is the only way I'm going to be able to read this at this point, so I'm going to buy it.
Yep.
But this is also why, at the time, I know we've talked about this at least on the Superman Super Show, but we said at the beginning that this sported a cover date of January 1985, though it hit the shelves in October of 84. So that January on the cover is telling the newsstand, the guy, the girl, whoever runs the newsstand of the bookstore, this is when you take it off the shelf, and you can rip that cover off and send it back in January.
Right. It's a sell-by date.
Yes, the story's not as good after January of.
Well, yeah, it's been sitting there for 2 months, 3 months. Yeah,
it's gone stale.
Yeah, hard to say what it'll smell like when you open it.
That's why we wrap them in big, hard plastic cases.
Comic condoms. That's exactly what those are for, to keep them fresh.
That's our Tupperware.
Number 3 in a 6-issue limited series, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, takes up what is that? 1, 2, 3, probably 25% of the cover. I mean, it's really big. Okay, if you're on a newsstand, this is about the distance that the second shelf will be below, or the next shelf will be below this shelf. So you won't see much, but you'll see this Kitty Pryde and, most importantly, Wolverine sticking up there if it's in the back. So that's definitely why the cover is designed the way it is. Again, half cover. It's split in two. Wolverine is on the left-hand side. If you know, this is Kitty Pryde now on the right-hand side. She looks a little different. Her hair's a little different. But weapons are crossing over. Kitty Pryde's samurai sword is across. Wolverine's claws and his arms are across. So they're mixing, but pretty much Wolverine is one half, Kitty Pryde is the other half. Kitty Pryde dressed as the stereotypical, at this point, ninja outfit. She's got the tabby shoes and the armor, and she just doesn't have the a particular headpiece that she will exhibit here in the story. Actually, starting this issue, pretty much, we saw her in it last issue, but this issue, definitely. As Steven indicated, the title of the story is Death. We get that on the front page. Kind of a cool opening montage. Going from left to right, the panels are vertical, but they get bigger. They get longer and cover more of the page as you go across the page. All the way over on the right-hand side, Wolverine is standing here being Wolverine. He's smoking some sort of cheroot, standing atop some more traditional-looking building, even though they are in, at the time, mid-'80s Tokyo, which was a pretty modern city at the time. So, I mean, that is reflected in the other panels. You can see the modern building, but most importantly, panel to panel to panel, moving closer, you can see a figure in shadow as they are, one would presume, attempting to sneak up on Wolverine, which should be virtually impossible in most any but the harshest of environments. It shouldn't be able to be done.
I like the way this page is laid out, but there's also a part of me that's like, look at all this space that they could have put more art in. But I get it. I understand the idea. Like I said, I like the way it's laid out. It's almost like we're zooming in. Mm-hmm. They could have, because ultimately it's just the background doesn't change from panel to panel. Mm-hmm. It's basically one big background. And so they're just highlighting these smaller areas for the first 3 panels. So yeah, I like it. And I think it's done well. As far as the composition of the page for this, I've seen them try this though in other books, and it doesn't. All I can think of is there's a lot of white space they could have been using for something else in here, but it works here for some reason.
Also, what sticks out in my mind, and this is Aubrey, for those of you that are...
Hey, Aubrey.
Don't step on my laptop. Between the third and fourth panel, as you're going left to right, up at the top, there is an ad that is split by the split in the panel.
Mm-hmm.
that image, very similar to it, is a concept that's used on a cover of one of the issues of Kabuki that is going to come out in the early mid 90s. I forget which volume of Kabuki it is, but that's what, and I'm not going to get into it, but that's another comic book for you, those of you that aren't familiar with the name. And the writer artist escapes me.
Yeah, I had it right up to my tongue. Mack?
Yeah. Yes, David Mack.
David Mack.
He uses an image like that for one of his covers, and that's what struck me as soon as I saw it.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that cover now that you mention it. Yep.
Right, and it comes so much later that it can't be, at the same time or whatever. Yeah. Maybe he read this and that, or, I mean, an image like that is so stylized, perhaps he came up with it just completely independently. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, because Kabuki, the character, did like the what was the word we had to look up last week for the ladies of the night in Japan? The white makeup on her face, doesn't she have like that?
Yeah, and Kabuki itself, I believe, is the name for the Japanese shadow puppets.
Okay. Yeah,
the artwork. And the women that accompany men in Japan like that their name is
geisha.
Yep. Yes, geisha. Kabuki is a female ninja-ish, and she kind of, I think, straddles that line between geisha and what the shadow puppetry is supposed to do.
She has the white makeup. Yeah. I once the word Kabuki actually signaled something in my brain, I remembered that the kiss makeup was often described as Kabuki style makeup.
Right. That's a very it's probably has the same origins as to where the idea came from. Yep. So we turn the page and we see this figure has gotten close enough to Wolverine to attack. So now we have long panels that are arranged vertically, though, rather than at the first page where the long panels were arranged. Well, they were arranged horizontally, I'm not sure if
they're arranged vertically. These are horizontally.
Horizontal, yes.
I do have to take a moment every time I think vertical and horizontal. There literally is a part of my brain that goes horizon, boom. All right, horizontal.
Okay, horizontal. Yeah. So the ninja person is attacking. Now here, you couldn't really tell on the first page, but here the attacker is starting to look rather feminine to me. The attack is not successful. Sneaking up on Wolverine is pretty difficult to do. He blocks the attack, kind of throwing the attacker either off to the side or back the way they came or something, such that there is distance. So now the attacker, in an immediate follow-up, tries a distance attack. Wow. Words are really difficult today.
I know exactly what you're trying to say.
A ranged attack.
Thank you.
Because,
I was thinking this. I was like, what is he trying to say? I know what he's trying to say.
And this is why I podcast, because words are so foreign to me.
That's right.
So she immediately slips to a range attack because she has been knocked far enough away. Wolverine defeats that attack. They're spikes, I guess, is what they would call them. Do they call them something?
He calls them, his narration says spikes.
Spikes, they look like shards of glass to me.
He's got a clunky bit of narration there, I think, because he says, to block the spikes, I pop my claws, forged adamantium razor keen, able to cut through anything from their housings built into my forearms. There's too much in between those two.
Right. He is thinking all of that, obviously, because he needs to keep track of it. It's obviously narration for a reader, just like the very first narration at the top of the page. What does that say?
Yeah, this is some classic. If you ever, especially in the Bronze Age, ever read a comic book in which Wolverine is narrating, at some point he's going to say, I'm the best there is at what I do. But what I do best isn't very nice.
Yes,
perfect.
That is attached to him, this character, as much as the name Wolverine is. Those two,
and the sound effect snicked.
Snicked, yeah. So, and that's cool. In a way, it's overdone too. Growing up with it, we like it. A brand new person now, contemporarily, reading these back then, I'm sure it probably would run kind of old much more quickly than it did for us, because we saw it all together. So it was all part and parcel of what it was. So it didn't bother us because Wolverine, the catchy phrase, snicked with the it was all part of it. So it didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't even notice it after a while.
Yeah, but if you're sitting down right now and you're going to binge some Wolverine issues and just read through like epic collections or whatever, every 6 issues you're going to run to, I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do best isn't very nice.
Like, will you please say something else? Just anything. Yeah. So I could see that. All right.
But this, but that one bit though, there near the bottom of the page, I just find that narration clunky.
Oh yeah,
because
very much so.
Ultimately, he's just trying to say that they're teaching the reader how his claws work. He has to pop his claws to block the spikes. He has to explain that they're razor sharp and can cut through anything. He has to explain that they're made out of adamantium and that his bones are laced with it. But it's just, instead of saying, to block the spikes, I pop my claws. Forged adamantium and razor keen, able to cut through anything. And then back to the original thought, from the housing built, they should have just said, to block the spikes, I plop my claws from the housing built into my forearms. They're forged from adamantium and they split that thought up so much that by the time I get to the second part of the thought, I'm like, what? I don't understand it took me a minute. It took me out of it for a second. And okay, I see what they're trying to say. Damn it, Chris Claremont.
Yeah, I guess he probably would have done all of the narration.
And, it's also Jim Shooter, because Jim Shooter's edict at the time was every issue
book
is somebody's first issue. So you
which
always had to put a moment in there where you explain a bunch of stuff.
That, I don't know. There comes a point where it's like, okay, look, catch up. I'm not gonna do the inside front cover anymore as the catch. That's what we did, Steven. That's what we did, man. We bought a book in the middle of a run, and it's like, man, this is so good. I'm going to go back and get the ones before this.
But one of the reasons we thought it was so good is because they gave us just enough to know what was going on in scenes like this. They didn't. You're right. They didn't have to. They didn't have to do any of that. We would have figured it out. I think the fun thing about us reading Golden Age books for the Superman Super Show,
Bill from Long Island.
We're seeing how there obviously was a time when the people who made comic books didn't trust their reader to understand what was going on unless they were fed every bit of information they could. And that slowly starts to die out, but we're still in a lot of that here in the 80s, and that's why.
Particularly with X stuff, and that would have to be because of Chris Claremont, because he was in charge of a lot of X stuff, if not all of it, hands-on, up until the early 90s is when he left adjectiveless. So,
but what happens when you throw away all that exposition that explains what may have happened?
You have to go back and buy the books.
No, you get a decompressed story like Brian Bendis.
I just picked up my first X comic. Where should I start?
Good luck.
Start at the beginning. That's the cover will have a 1 on it. That's where you start. 1. It's
doesn't matter which one. Because you go into a comic book store, you're probably going to find 5 different number 1 X-Men comics. Just pick one and go, brother. You're going to have fun with it. Or you're not, and then you pick something else.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so we continue with the Wolverine versus unknown person attack here. Has he dropped? He doesn't drop the name at all. Oh, yeah, he drops it at the bottom of the page. After he's kissed her, and after, I think they did the nasty up on top of this roof. I think that is why he's laying here smoking. So
now, he did have now, I will point this out. I agree with you. I'm not trying to, by the way, Bill from Long Island has joined us. Hi, Bill.
Yes. Hey, Bill.
I'm not trying to tear apart your story, but the one thing I noticed is that he was smoking when she attacked him.
Yes.
He's still smoking as they're rolling off of this roof at the top of the page.
Right.
And so one could make the argument that it's still the same cigarette, but I agree, just simply because of that caption box that says later. So he
loses it at the top here. It flips out of his mouth, and all of these panels in the middle, he doesn't have it. So but I see what you're saying. Yeah,
but again, I agree with you. I think they did the deed up there on that temple rooftop.
Yeah, everybody's worried about Batman and Catwoman and the bat penis and whatever. here in the early 80s, Wolverine and Yukio are getting it on top of a temple in Tokyo.
Was she in the original Wolverine 4-issue mini? Chris Claremont and Frank Miller?
I'm glad you brought that up, Steve.
Oh, good.
She, at this point, has made roughly 6 other appearances.
Okay.
She was in the Wolverine miniseries, all of it, on and off. There were a couple issues of the X-Men that came out probably a year before this, right around the time that Rogue joined, and right around the time that Storm went from her long hair to her shaved hair.
Yeah.
She did that because of Yukio. Yukio goaded her into that character change.
That sounds very familiar.
So she was in those 2 issues. That is 172 and 173 of the original volume of X-Men / Uncanny X-Men, because it changed in the 140s to become Uncanny. So there's that. And then these appearances in this. Now, there are also 2 retcons that appear between this and her first appearance. The first retcon appearance was in the Wolverine Gambit miniseries that's going to come out in about 3 years, in 1989.
The Comic Book Super Show will return after these messages.
Across the DC multiverse, countless worlds exist in parallel, each with its own history, its own heroes, its own destiny. But before you can visit the worlds, you have to understand the map. I'm DC Dave, and this is Infinite Earths, a guide to the DC multiverse. In Season 1, we explore the architecture of the multiverse itself, the shifting cosmic designs that have defined DC history for decades. From the earliest experiments in parallel Earths to the sweeping restructurings that reshaped reality, we trace how the multiverse was built, broken, and rebuilt again. This is your field guide to the foundations of infinite possibility. The orrery is waiting. Let's explore.
Do you love podcasting but hate editing? Do you have a number of episodes recorded but just can't find the time to get them edited and ready for release? Do you need help and you're not sure what to do? Well, come talk to me. My name is Steven Orr. I have over a decade of experience recording and editing my own podcasts, and I want to put those skills to work for you. I can remove that background noise. I can reduce silences. I'll remove all of your ums and your uhs, as well as your throat clearings, sneezes, and coughs and such. And I can even add your music and whatnot. And hey, my prices are quite reasonable. Check out edityourpod.com to get started. That's edityourpod.com, or just reach out to me directly. Email edityourpod@gmail.com. Tell me what you need, and I'll tell you how I can help. And more importantly, I'll quote you a cost. edityourpod.com. Get started today. And now back to the Comic Book Super Show.
And then in the early 2000s is a retcon from X-Men Unlimited number 39, which adds another appearance. So that's just another 2 or 3 total appearances to the 6 that has occurred before this. So she, no matter how far you dig, she's only appeared 10-ish times before these appearances in this book. So, and to really bring home, because I know there may be people that don't quite understand the word retcon because it's not thrown out too much right now, even though it happens very frequently. Kind of annoying to me. If you get the Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe Update 1989, she has an entry. She is significant enough to have an entry, and it talks about the Wolverine mini, the X-Men issues, and this Kitty Pryde series. So she's not even had 10 appearances, and she warrants a 2-page entry in Ohakmu Update 89.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
This is my initial exposure to her. Even though the Wolverine mini came out before this, I hadn't read it at this point when I was, in 1984. So this is my first time meeting her. this is my first time, because she references a character here in the next couple of pages. I had never heard of her before until I read the mini. So, yeah.
Is that Mariko? Is that the character you're referring to? Well, that was one of the main story drivers in those two X-Men issues, 172 and 173.
When he was going to get married to her.
Right. Along with those things that I cited, the main reason anything was going on in the storyline is because Wolverine had gone to Japan to marry his betrothed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, remind me.
That didn't quite work out well. But.
Yeah, because didn't we find out that her father was a crime lord?
Her father was the main bad guy in the Wolverine miniseries. That was the whole reason for that miniseries, is that Mariko said she could not marry Wolverine. And for the longest time, that's all she said. Mariko and Wolverine have been around in the X world at this point since very, very early on. That Wolverine was attached to it. So he's made references, and they've been betrothed and what have you.
Okay.
She told Wolverine, after accepting his proposal, that she could not marry him and had left it at that. Well, he kept after her, of course, and she said she was part of a Yakuza clan and her dad was in charge. First of all, Wolverine would have to get her dad's approval to marry her, which is traditional for a lot of cultures. But more importantly, Mariko couldn't do it until she understood completely where her position in the Yakuza family would be, because she was the oldest child, but she was female. And I think the Yakuza have kind of a male bent. And so just because you're the oldest child, if you're female, that doesn't necessarily mean that you would step into leadership if the person who is leading directly above you leaves, which the only way that happens is die. So the impetus of that first miniseries is for Wolverine to go to Japan to decide that question so that he could then move on to marry Mariko. Well, one way or another, the question is decided in that miniseries. So the follow-up is this Uncanny 172, 173 story where he actually goes to marry her and runs afoul of some other things there. But also, like I said, that's where Rogue joins the X-Men. That's where Storm has her persona changed for the 90s that she has for a long, long time, with the shaved hair and the full leather and the chains, and which is typical mid to late 80s rocker, new wave, maybe kind of image.
Punk. I always
heard it
referred to as her punk look,
which is kind of what Yukio is doing too. She's kind of the punk affectation for this time period. She embodies that kind of mentality. Why Chris Claremont wanted to do that, I don't know.
Well, it was also around the time that Storm started leading the Morlocks. So it's like, right? I think she got her new hairdo first.
Right. And then she beat Callisto for leadership of the Morlocks soon after that.
Yeah. So it's like her hairdo kind of fit in with hanging with the Morlocks.
Well, she had been the nice, clean goddess for a while and didn't feel that was what she was anymore. And
So I'm looking, as we're talking about this, I was just looking up a few things. I'm looking at the final page to the 4-issue Wolverine miniseries. And of course, it ends with back at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and they have gotten the invitation in the mail for the wedding.
Right. Because it can officially move forward now because Wolverine has done what he did in the 4 issues. Yes.
But so you're saying the actual wedding, or when they go to Japan for this, isn't till what, like 172 or
173, which is 1983.
Yeah, because it's like, let's see, I'm trying to find the issues right now.
Less than a year, I would imagine, because I believe all 4 of those Wolverine issues came out in 82. So,
well, let's see, Uncanny 172 landed in May.
Okay.
Of 1983.
Of 83, okay.
And then the final issue of the Wolverine mini, Wolverine number 4, August of 83. So it was a number of months.
Of 82. August of 82.
Of 82,
okay.
yeah. And because it looks like at that time, because if I look at August of 82 and I go to Uncanny X-Men, where's it at here? There's it is. They're in the middle of what appears to be the Brood saga. So,
okay. They had just come back from space and all that. Yeah. So that, that took a little while to flesh out to where they could. Yeah. And plus, too, you have to think that Claremont had already written a handful of stories.
Yeah.
That had to go through the pipeline before they could get to the fact that Wolverine can now marry Mariko. So.
Yeah. But that's 163, Uncanny X-Men 163.
Good stuff, man.
And it has what appears to be Kitty Pryde on the cover being attacked by a Brood alien.
Oh, 163 was the same time that that Wolverine 4 came out?
Yeah, same.
Is that what you're saying? 163? Yep. Yeah. Oh, that was good stuff.
August 10th, 1982.
150 to about 250, man. That was...
It actually came out at the beginning of August, whereas Wolverine number 4 was the dead tail end of August 31st.
Yeah. Now, somebody out there who's smarter than I am, go ahead and try to explain how Wolverine was in space, but he was in Tokyo at the same time. I don't, because the Wolverine miniseries never said anything about this has occurred between or this occurred before. And it just started coming out, and you're like, no, but he's in space.
In the next issue, we will get a reference to the Casket of Endless Winters. Them opening that up during the Thor run.
Yeah, during Thor. So. Yeah.
But if you want to know how Wolverine does all that stuff, have you ever listened to the Kirby Crackle song, On and On?
Yes.
It's all about Wolverine. Inspired by, there was an issue of, I think it was one of the issues of the Avengers, the new Avengers that Bendis wrote, with just like a page split into 5 vertical panels, and was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and each was Wolverine doing like Monday fighting the Hand in Tokyo, Tuesday fighting the Brood in space, and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah,
I remember that. All right, so their fight is done. They have made up. Obviously, they're doing something here that is not allowed in Marvel Comics anymore. Wolverine is smoking. You're not allowed to show people smoking anymore.
Smoking and post-coital bliss.
Well, that maybe comes across sometimes in Marvel Comics now. I don't know. So they're talking here about why Wolverine is here. He hasn't really announced to any of his associates in Tokyo that he's here. He just came because of Kitty, and he's talking about some different things here. And I'm wondering how he put these things together himself, how he knows people and places and stuff like that, because we have read that, and as far as I know, that's the only place that it has occurred to us. Mm-hmm. We're the only knowledgeable people. But boy, Wolverine at this point seems to know the full story up until where we are. I don't know how he got the intel. Some of it I could see, but
I don't know how much is known. I can't remember how much is known about his world at this point. We know, of course, that he used to be a Canadian government agent.
Right.
So, I mean, we can assume that he just used his government ties, whether with the Canadian government or not, just to get find this information, maybe.
Kid stowed away on a JAL flight out of Chicago.
Yeah, that's guessing.
Away.
That's a theory.
There's not going to be any official record that she was ever on that plane.
There could be a police report.
Of what?
Because she was caught.
Of high strangeness.
Right. But still.
Maybe. But
he could have reached out to Heather Hudson and said, "Hey, I'm heading to Tokyo.
I don't know.
Can you use your government contact just to get me anything weird that's happened in Tokyo over the last 24 hours?"
She tried to heist a bank cash machine.
Well, she got on video.
How does he have access to the video?
Government connections, baby. You heard me.
Okay.
The Canadian government. They can do whatever they.
Yeah, I think it's more a let's keep the story going kind of thing. Rather than
You could also theorize that because he is. The whole first page of this issue, he's talking about how he hates the city.
Right.
And he would prefer to be up on a mountain in a cabin, blah, blah, blah. And yet he loves Tokyo. And he's got a connection to Tokyo. And he's made Japan like his second home and blah, 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 blah. So we could also theorize that he has enough contacts within either the Tokyo underworld, maybe he's got a friend on the force. Who knows? I mean, it would have been good for them to just at least drop a little, I talked to a friend on the force and he's told me this, and this, and this, and this. But yeah, otherwise it's just, we have to guess how he's gotten all this information so fast.
Yeah. So basically what he does in talking to Yukio is he runs through the story up until now. So actually it's by page 4, if you haven't read the first 2 issues, you're pretty much caught up on everything that you need to continue reading this issue and continue on with the story.
This is where they catch us all up.
Yeah, more than anything else, I'm sure that's what this is
exactly.
This is how Claremont decided to frame the catch-up.
Yeah.
That's,
And I don't want to sound nitpicky because, the whole reason I chose this for our first story is because I love it. And I have, I've loved it since I was, what do we say? This is 84, so it was 12. But looking at like Wolverine in the very first panel, and then in the second panel on the bottom row, his silhouette, I just got to wonder if those boots get in the way when he's running. I just got to imagine that those things just flap together as he's running.
They're soft and they don't do anything. I mean, it's,
It's like when I see people with the big things on their shoulder pads. It's like, how do they get through doorways? How do they see to their right and their left? There's giant things on either side of their head.
They have to be not fixed and hard. They have to be pliable somehow. And
I would really love though to see an issue with him like running through the woods, but he's trying to be sneaky and they're keep flapping together. And so he pops the claw
sound.
Cuts each one of them off real quick.
Well, if that's the vein that you want, how does he get his hair to do this?
Right? Can I tell you something? Can I tell you the truth about something? As a kid at this time, my assumption was always that the mask was hollow up into the wings, the big ears on the top of his mask.
Right.
And so he's got so much hair, he'd stuff the mask on and his hair would go up into those wings and just stay like that when he took the mask off. That was always my theory as a kid.
For a little while, but I mean, that won't work for like days at a time.
He always mooses his hair up real good before he throws the
special movie product. He uses like walrus oil or something. I mean, who knows? Brown bear, black bear oil to, it's.
I mean, you look at it as an adult. I think if this was, we'll get to Bill's comment here in a second. If they introduced this character like this today, I would look at this and go, this guy is fucking ridiculous looking. What is up with that hair? What is
the hair? Yeah.
It's like, is he trying to look like the owl or is the owl trying to look like him? What's going on here? Bill from Long Island posted a comment that says that is now canon. Which part is canon?
I guess your
hair?
Hollow mask hair thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah? Okay. Yeah. I think I should win a no prize for that. I do seem
to recall that I've run across that somewhere that.
Oh yeah,
someone officially said that. Yeah,
maybe that's why I've always thought that. Maybe I ran across that at some point too. Yeah, so that's funny.
So basically, page 4, all of page 4 is the catch up for us. If you haven't read the previous 2 issues, his hair, Bill says. And they split up. Yukio knows that Wolverine is in town. He asks her to help out a bit. And he continues on. So she continues on to do one part of the story, one part of what's going to be happening moving forward. Wolverine goes on to take care of his part of the story.
Yeah, she's going to go check out the Oyabun. Am I pronouncing that right?
Shigematsu. That's the dude that's in charge is what that word basically means. But that she's referring to Shigematsu.
I was going to say, I looked it up on Google Translate and it said dude in charge.
Yes, there you go. That's what the kids say. So she breaks away from camera, goes to parts unknown. We, of course, keep following Wolverine because first of all, he's named on the book, but he is the more interesting, more well-known of the two. So that's who we follow. And he goes to...
He stays where he's at.
The temple. He goes down to the grounds of the temple.
That's where the meet has been scheduled. So he's kind of been up there
waiting. He got there early enough that he could shtup Yukio, and
that's right. And he knew that was going to happen.
Right,
reconnoiter, and he's going to reconnoiter and have sex. That's
right. So I need to leave enough time for these things before my meeting.
She does call him lover at least twice during their interaction. And lover doesn't mean just someone I love.
Well, no, but I mean, that could be
Lover in the Nighttime.
From things in the past.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, they have a history. Obviously. I mean.
Don't try to break down don't try to go against your theory.
I'm not breaking it down. I just, that's, So we see, I think, a couple panels of what is supposed to be if I'm pronouncing it correctly, a feng shui garden here, which is not detailed extremely, but this temple apparently is such, I guess, which is a Buddhist tradition. The inner courtyard is laid out in this feng shui with and you'll always recognize it because it's got sand that's been pulled through with that rake. And so the sand has lines, and there'll be a rock here and curvy lines. Yeah. That's all.
Rich white guys in the 80s put little versions of those on their desk.
On their desk in a little box, yes, because it was cool. I had a waterfall on my desk. That's where I went, and it really goobered up my desk because the waterfall splashed. So. I actually was going to buy a little waterfall for my desk at one point, and my wife pointed out that it would make me want to pee all the time, and so I didn't. I love the sound of running water. It's very calming to me. So. Yes. So he is here for the meet. He gets there early, gets down to the grounds, preparing for the meet, and he is attacked. First, he is attacked, taking away his ability to use his finer senses. And basically what that means is he doesn't know who's attacking, from where, until it's obvious. He can't tell ahead of time. His sense of smell. Wolverine's mutant power is the ability to heal, the ability for his body to regenerate. His mutant power is not his claws. His mutant power is not his senses, a Zen garden, Bill said. No, hang on. His senses are an extension of the fact that his body can heal. So his senses never degrade because his body is always keeping his senses at the peak of human ability. So that's why they work so well. That's not a mutant power, the fact that I can smell 3 parts per billion, whatever. That his mutant healing factor, or his healing factor is his mutant ability. Now, his claws are, I'm not sure how. I haven't read enough Wolverine, I guess, to see how they have explained that. Initially, the claws were bone. In his history, because of his mutant ability to heal, he was selected to have adamantium bonded to his skeleton to try to make a super soldier.
Yeah, unkillable killing machine.
And his healing ability allowed for that devastating surgical procedure, which also coated his bone claws in the metal. That's why the claws are adamantium. He wasn't born. That's not his mutant ability. So,
they didn't know that at this time.
No,
I think it's highly hinted that the claws were added.
Yeah,
when the adamantium was.
For those of you that perhaps don't know, I don't really. I'm not aware a whole lot that there's a mutant ability to grow adamantium. I don't even think that would be possible because of what adamantium is. But there are other characters that have it in different places in different ways, and maybe they have developed some sort of mutant explanation for that. Yeah. But Wolverine's mutant is his ability to heal. That's his mutant ability.
Well, but once they officially came out that his claws were part of his skeleton as well, you could consider that a mutation. The fact that he grew these claws.
Wouldn't that be the first secondary mutation?
Yeah, probably.
Because his primary mutation is his ability to heal.
Yep.
And I'm not sure how you could put bone claws as a connection to healing ability. So perhaps because back when Morrison got a hold of the X-Men, everybody started developing secondary mutations.
Yep.
Well, if what you're saying is the case, then Wolverine was the very first mutant to show secondary characteristics, because that would explain his bone claws. Yeah, as opposed to the mutant healing.
If anybody knows, because I don't remember. I mean, I remember obviously when they came out that his claws were bones and were part of his skeleton, but I don't know if they ever clarified, was he born with them, or like a secondary mutation at the age of 13 or something, these claws just grew out of his skeleton. That's something I'd like some clarification
in the Origin miniseries, he had him as a child.
Yeah, that's true.
I do remember that.
That's true. So. It's been a while since I read that.
And I don't know that anything like that was ever explained in the Origin miniseries because that's not what it was for. That's not what they were trying to do.
Yeah, so. I think they were more just trying to tell you where he came from.
Yeah, they blew it.
They tried to make you think that one kid was him throughout most of it, and then you found out it was the other kid.
Dog and mutt or whatever that. Yeah. I don't think they should have gotten into his origin at all. I don't think it was necessary.
No, I agree.
Let it stay a mystery. Drop a little bit here. That's fine. Drop it. But you don't have to explain it. There's no reason to do that. Anyways.
I would argue that the reason to do it is that if you have editors that aren't paying attention, people could start at it. Then you just got to retcon certain things, that somebody added something to his mysterious origin that maybe an editor thought, I don't like that. So then
hasn't that happened anyways? Isn't that what they do now that nobody believes in continuity?
Yeah, that's what they did in the Silver Age with Superman.
Yeah.
He needs this power to get out of this, so let's give him this power today.
They do it, and then somewhere along the way, somebody's like, that doesn't make any sense. And they'd work it back.
But we go back to this issue, though. I really love this part. It's very obvious that Chris Claremont sat down and said, okay, if I am going to take out Wolverine.
How do I do it?
And they have literally these almost methodical steps, and it starts with that stink bomb that's launched over the top of the temple into the garden.
Right. So he doesn't even see it coming.
Right. He doesn't see it until it's literally right in front of his face and it explodes. And so his senses are just overwhelmed by this stink and he can't get it out of his nose. And so, boom, they've cut off his that sense from him.
His early warning system, other than the fact that they have done that, which is an early warning to begin with. But then once again, they use ranged attack. Yep. They try to attack him with arrows, which one finally lands. And as soon as he was stuck, my first thought was poison. That doesn't come into play until a little bit later, and arguably it may not even have been the arrows. But I was thinking when I first saw this, well, that's the way to do it, is just poison those arrows and hit him with 2 or 3, and it'll slow him. So also here in the middle, let's see. What page are you on? In the middle, in the middle of this page is something that you don't necessarily see. He breaks the arrow off. Any of you out there that are martial knowledgeable, do you know why he broke the arrow off instead of pulling it out? Which he does pull it out later, but it's for a different reason. I know. In the back, Steeven?
Because the arrowhead is barbed, and if you pull it out backwards, it's going to take a bunch of the leg with it.
Not only that, but right now, the hole that the arrow made is plugged, is it not? Now, he'll still bleed. He'll bleed out a little bit. But if you take that arrow out, it'll be a big-ass hole that'll be bleeding.
If you break it off, there's not all this. There's not something that can grab onto something.
Right, a big, long arrow. But so often in movies, I have seen people, they get hit with something and they just pull it out. And I'm like, oh, well, now you're going to bleed to death. That's okay, way to go. So eventually, I think the word got around to the creators that no, actually what you would do is break them off, because I have seen that there's a period of time where if you watch movies or TVs, the one thing occurred, and then after that, the other has occurred. And so somewhere along the way, the knowledge got out that that's how you would really deal with that situation.
There's a really good scene in the movie Braveheart, which hurts to watch these days, but I did watch it again not too long ago. But the old Scottish guy, Hamish's dad, they're storming this fort and he gets shot in the shoulder by an arrow, breaks it off. They finish the assault. And so when it's all done and it's nighttime, they got to take the arrow out and clean the wound. And so the one guy, they're all kind of, here, you do it. I'll hold him down. And the guy takes what he's given him and then he hands it to somebody passing by. Here, you do it. I'll hold him down. And then, of course, they yank the arrow out. And the first thing he does is punch the guy
who did it.
Out. And that'll get you up. That'll wake you up in the morning, lads.
A scene that comes to mind for me is a Sand and Sandals movie where a warrior has been struck multiple times with arrows, and he takes his shield and just raises his shield up, and he breaks all the arrows off.
Was that a Conan movie?
I don't know if it was. Was it the Odysseus movie with?
Maybe
because
I know
he
what
could
you're
take
talking
multiple
about.
arrows and not die. So But yeah, they're all sticking out. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and he just takes his shield and just breaks them off.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Okay. Anyways, so
when we get to, I'm just going to warn you now. When we get to the end of page 10, I'm going to want to kind of go back and talk about this fight.
Okay. Ranged attack, first arrows, and then throwing stars, which to me were questionably used as ranged attack. It's my understanding that they were used elsewise, but pop culture says that they throw them. So, okay. So they threw the throwing stars. Wolverine's not substantially slowed down, but he does want to get out of the area of fire. So he runs to one end of the garden, and at first it looks like he's going to climb a wall and hop to the other side, but it turns out it's the wall of another building. So he climbs the wall, gets up on the roof of that building, and starts trying to assess the situation a little bit more now that he's not under fire. Also, in this moment where he is not immediately being attacked, he decides to pull out the arrow and give his body, because his body can't heal with the arrow. Yeah. But without the arrow there, it's just a wound, and it allows his body to start to heal that, which at this time, his healing ability was without par. Nowadays, I think they have taken a lot of it away from him. Kind of like Superman. He's depowered quite a bit, because at one point, Wolverine, the writer had Wolverine regenerate from a single drop of blood.
Yeah,
that is rather extreme in my mind.
It's dumb.
But, and so after that, I guess people are like, whoa, we got to pull this back. So that's not even possible. And so now this arrow attack here, if it weren't poisoned, let's say, Wolverine will heal from this within minutes at this time. Today, it'd probably take him a day or two just to heal from that. So that shows you.
Nice.
Now, plus, admittedly, Wolverine is older, but again, his healing power means that he's not that much older. But anyways.
See, that's the Wolverine I like, and that's one of the things I'll be talking about when we go back over this fight.
Okay. Okay. So he's trying to assess here, and he's waiting. He's got height, right? He's got the aerial advantage. He's looking around. Well, somebody sneaks up from him behind. They're wearing this demon mask. They're dressed in the secrety ninja kind of outfit, like the attacky ninja. They also have these claws that they can strap onto their fists that are like miniature Wolverine claws.
And we, the reader, know who it is.
Oh, yeah.
Wolverine
from
doesn't
last
just
issue.
yet. Yeah.
I don't even think yet he's really suspecting, because his nose isn't working yet. So he just knows he's being attacked. Maybe at this point he could tell that it was a female, maybe not, because of how I think it's successful the attack is. So
he mentions here, maybe the next page, that it's a female.
Yeah.
And then
so he disarms, he gets hurt, he disarms again, and so they're left with just the human martial attacks rather than having a weapon. So they're attacking him with, the super secret 5-finger heart punch, all that kind of stuff. Wolverine presses his advantage and attacks with his claws, and he misses, or so he thinks. Of course, Wolverine doesn't miss, so something else happened. Again, we know who this is, so we know what happened.
Yeah.
The attack stays physical. The attacker gets the drop on Wolverine and kicks him off of this building. He falls into the garden that we have been seeing on and off. Now, between the arrows, potentially if he got hit by any of the throwing stars, and the claws, that both of the claws drew blood before he was able to disarm both of them. All of these things, or some amount of these things, were poisoned. So now that he has a minute to catch his breath, he realizes that the poison is starting to take effect. So between the wounds and the poison and what fatigue he would have at this point, he decides the best thing he can do is just remove himself from the battlefield completely. Just try to outrun or hide from his opponent, whoever it would be. And his opponent seemingly is giving him enough room to do this, because every time they press the attack, they don't physically stay on him. He leaves the immediate battlefield and then the attacker catches back up with him. And this happens 2 or 3 times, happens again now as he has the time to leave the battlefield completely, wander into town in his poison-induced stupor, and hide himself as one would a nightly vagrant in the streets of Tokyo in the mid-'80s.
The Comic Book Super Show will return after these messages. Hey there, comic fans and children of the 80s. My name is Steeven, and I would like to invite you to join me on another G.I. Joe podcast. If you grew up yelling, "Yo, Joe!" or flipping through dog-eared issues of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, this is the show for you. Each episode, we're tackling one issue of the classic Marvel comic series, starting all the way back in 1982. We'll break down the stories, the artwork, the characters, the wild twists, the covert missions, everything that made this series one of the most surprisingly rich comic runs of the decade. We'll follow the rise of Snake Eyes, the schemes of Cobra Commander, the battles, the vehicles, the ninjas, the chaos, and the totally over-the-top, totally awesome storytelling that defined 80s action. Whether you're reliving your childhood or discovering these comics for the first time, I'm here to guide you through it all with excitement, insight, and plenty of nostalgia. So grab your gear and join the team, because the mission begins now. Yo, Joe!
Maybe I can do a podcast about comic books. No, everybody does a podcast about comic books. Maybe I could do a podcast about TV shows. There's a lot of podcasts out there covering TV shows. I know, a podcast about movies. It's too general. A lot of people do podcasts about movies. Star Wars movies. No, everybody talks about Star Wars movies. I need to do a podcast that covers movies and television shows and comics and all the pop culture I loved growing up. Wait a minute. The Pop Culture Basement Podcast, hosted by me, Mike Jamison, covering all the pop culture that I consumed and that we consumed during our formative years. Now available on all reputable podcast platforms. Join us down in the basement.
And now back to the Comic Book Super Show. So this fight scene for me perfectly encapsulates what it is I like about Wolverine. Let's talk about John McClane from Die Hard real quick.
Okay.
One of the great things about John McClane, when they were getting ready to make Die Hard and they were casting the hero, a lot of people were against Bruce Willis, because he wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he wasn't Sylvester Stallone. He wasn't Jean-Claude Van Damme. He wasn't your typical action hero. I loved John McClane because he got the shit kicked out of him throughout that movie. He kept getting knocked down and he'd get back up. He had his feet cut to ribbons because he didn't have any shoes on.
Right.
He fucking wraps them up in paper towel, pulls the glass out, wraps them up in paper towels, and limps around the building. There's the moment when he finally confronts Hans in the room where they're stealing all the money, and he's just all bruised and bloody. He's got the gun taped to his back, and he comes in, he's kind of limping in, he goes, "Hans!" And his wife's there, and his wife's kind of like, Jesus Christ. That's why I love John McClane, because he knows he's got to stop him. But he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he just works through the pain, right? Okay. Same thing with Superman, Death of Superman. He knows that he cannot stop fighting Doomsday until people are safe. And he does. Once Doomsday's dead and he realizes that he's won and everybody's safe, that's when he dies. Right? That's when he's just like, okay, I can finally stop.
Right.
That's the way Wolverine is in this. The fact that he gets his ass handed to him and then crawls away and hides under like a bum under a bunch of newspaper next to a dumpster. That's what I love about him. He explains throughout this fight that he's got a healing factor. It makes him hard to kill, but he can be killed. And the poison is the one thing that he thinks could probably do it if his healing factor if he doesn't give his healing factor time to work. That's why he's hiding next to the dumpster to get his healing factor.
Got to sleep it off. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for a time there, during the period of time where they would resurrect him from a drop of blood, he wouldn't have run off and hid. He would have been like, okay, everything's healed already,
Right.
And there you don't get a sense of peril with that kind of character. You get that with this kind of character. And that's why I love this fight scene so much. Because he actually, if you think about the fact that on page 2, he's saying, I'm the best at what I do, but what I do best isn't very nice. He almost comes into this confrontation kind of cocky, he can handle anything. He, not like overtly cocky, but he's obviously a very confident person. Why wouldn't you?
He's not concerned about winning or losing.
Right. But as this fight continues, he even explains, this is somebody who knows how to take me down. They're doing this in a methodical way. They're attacking me with things that they know that could take me out. And that's why he just I got to take myself off the board. I'm not going to be able to survive this unless I give my healing factor time to, because even when he falls off the building, he says, I try to land in a way that'll break my fall, but you can see he lands on his neck. And his first thought is, I can barely move. So this obviously would be somebody probably have their neck broken landing like that. And I love this about him. And I think I've said it in the last issue. It's the reason why X-Men 205 is my single favorite comic issue at the time, because that's him throughout that entire issue. He's had his ass kicked, but he's not giving up. He's got to fight back. And I like that more than someone who is shot 100 times and then the next panel, they go bloop, 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 and heal up.
They're not affected by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to me, this is the kind of thing that makes Wolverine dangerous, because if you don't kill him, he will be back. Yeah. You are now on his radar. You are top of his list. You didn't kill him. What do you think is going to happen next? And typically that is exactly what happens next. So
well, and if you press your attack while he is like this and you keep injuring him, his healing factor almost has to shut down like his humanity, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Just to work. I think we use the Star Trek analogy. We have to reroute power from
this system and that system.
Shields,
Right.
And so he turns into a feral beast. And that makes him even more dangerous than before he was
right.
He was injured.
At the moment of attack, you don't want to go that far if you can't kill him.
Right. Yeah.
So when you're fighting Wolverine, you have to decide how far you can push him, not how far you want to, but how far you can. And if there's the point that it's not like total obliteration, well, you probably better stop and then just gird your loins, because he's going to go off and heal and he'll come back. So,
and maybe we could postulate that that's why Kitty isn't. You made the comment that he goes somewhere to rest up, and the attacker, the ninja, is kind of letting
follow
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she knows at this point, somewhere deep down, that she doesn't have the advantage.
Right.
And
I'll let him go. Maybe the next time he won't be 100%.
Yeah.
But he won't be the crazy man either that I know he can turn into either.
And there's I want to say there's a moment here, because let's see, he falls off the building and then he starts to force his way out of the temple. My nerves feel dipped in acid. The pain's so bad, I want to howl like a mad dog. I'm thinking as fast and clear as ever, but the messages are taking longer to get to the rest of my body. Poison. Either the arrow or the claws were coated with it. Should have expected that. My second mistake tonight, and the last, is if I make another, I'm dead, unless I'm dead already. So, it just, you get the sense that he can be killed. He's just, it's going to take a lot. Those are the characters I like. I don't like, some people will get on me for like, you just like Superman because nothing can hurt him. It's like, no, Superman can be hurt. I like Superman because he continues to fight even after he's hurt to protect innocent people. And I think that's all I got to say about that.
Look, man, we don't have to defend why we like who we like.
Yeah.
All people need to know is that's who we like.
Just because we're right.
If you don't, that's fine. You can like who you like. I'll like who I like. Although I think who you like is stupid. who I like is better, but that's fine.
You're not talking to me when you say that. You're talking to the fictional person.
So, somebody that would be giving me grief about whatever they choose to grief about. Yeah.
That's what I say to them.
There you go. You say it down there at the bottom below your name too.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay. So we have caught up with Wolverine. Now I assume we're going to go back in time a little bit closer to when they split up. And now we're going to follow Yukio and see roughly about the same time that all this crap was going on with Wolverine, what's been going on with Yukio. It doesn't really say that, but that's kind of what I envision. So
she has had a chance to put on pants and boots.
Well, she's changed.
Jacket.
Yeah. And maybe she took a shower, maybe not. I don't know. That's not, I'm not going to kink shame. It's not up to me. I don't know. Yeah, boy, there's a whole lot of stuff. Okay. So anyways, so we find that she is at, Shigematsu Industries, in a plaza in a district of Tokyo. And I really don't want to try either one of those because I would probably Anglo butcher them. And I don't want to.
I'm not going to try the first one, the plaza, but I'll try Otomaki.
Okay. That's
district.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But yeah, the first one, actually, I don't know that I've ever heard that name. I've heard Sekigahara I think Sekigahara is a district in Tokyo, so should be a completely different name than this one. Those letters don't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know how their G sounds when followed by I.
G.
So.
Yeah, so
I don't know if it's a G or a J at this point.
So anyways, Yukio is trying to track down Shigematsu. That's the bottom line. She's at his offices, wherever they're at. These are the same offices that Kitty's dad, what's his name? Carmen. Yes, San Diego. Where in the world is? Yeah, no, sorry. So I'm not. Did she and Wolverine talk about what would happen if she found Shigematsu? I mean, is she trying to find Pryde, the dad?
No, I think it felt. I said it's. Why can't I talk? I'm getting the Ed disease. It sounded like she was just going to investigate Shigematsu to see if their meetup is. If he planned some dirty deeds at the meetup, which
she missed that. So
yeah, she missed it completely. So yeah.
So she's here at his office. She is so sure of herself that she decides to drink some of his brandy. I'm sure it's very old, expensive brandy, given the setting. So she's drinking some brandy and is looking around the offices, finds Carmen, who has gotten upset and has, because he's confined to the offices here and has drunk himself into a stupor, a drunken stupor, and he's passed out here.
She sees his name on the briefcase.
Yes.
That's how she's like,
that's how she knows who it is.
Of Kitty Pryde's? He looks like he could be her father or something like that, but I can't see a name on that briefcase. Whatever.
Yeah, no. But then we don't have ninja eyes either. So.
That's true. Ninja eyes.
They're watching you. They see your every move. Yeah, okay, sorry. Somebody attacks Yukio from behind. Immediately we see that it is Shumai, the sumo bodyguard of Shigematsu. So whether she triggered something or dude is a solid bodyguard and is making rounds or whatever, Yukio's discovered. They're fighting. Of course, it's a very mismatched fight because she is a thin, small, waifish kind of female. He is the stereotypical then. Sumo wrestlers now aren't necessarily like this, but then he has the stereotypical size and everything. And I believe I've mentioned this probably in the first issue or so. This is why Fisk is always portrayed big and fat, because he's a martial arts practitioner and the art that he practices is sumo. So he has developed the body of a sumo wrestler. Nowadays, I don't think that comes out too much. Maybe it did in the 80s when all of that stuff was big, but
I don't know that it was even made clear back then. I mean, I didn't read a lot of Daredevil back then, but I did read Board Again.
At some point it did. That's how I know it. I mean,
so I must have missed.
But that's why I keep wanting to say Carlton Fisk, but that was a pitcher for the Phillies back in the day. Wilson Fisk. That's why he is shaped the way he is, because he's a sumo wrestler.
And I always knew that he was a practitioner of the martial arts in some fashion, because there was always a scene back then where he'd be taking
where he was
on
practicing in his dojo. So Yukio was having some difficulty because, of course, the big sumo wrestler can take quite a bit of pain before he is affected by it. But finally, with a double eye strike, she's able to break his hold, gives him the big shoulder hip toss, and he had gathered her up and was walking her towards the window and was going to throw her out the window, out of the building, many floors above, who knows how many. And, so she breaks, throws him, and she throws him through the window. And at the last instant, he both grabs the ledge and saves himself, but she also grabs him as well. In this position, of course, you have all of the leverage you need to get information from somebody. I'll help you if you tell me. If you don't tell me, I'll let you fall. And, we see that everywhere all the time. So, and here even, they go so far as to show that she is holding on to the window casing to hold him up. So it's not like just I'm on the edge of this roof and I'm just holding you. It's like, no, she is having to work to do this.
Yep.
And he is got one hand holding and she's holding the other, and he's flipping and everything. He's afraid of heights is definitely what it comes down to. So they have the tete-a-tete here about, I want to get information about Shigematsu and about the American girl. What do you know? And at first, he's like, well, I don't know. But then he realizes she's going to let me fall if I don't. And he tells her about the connection between Shigematsu and Ogun, and that Ogun has Kitty now and payment for services rendered. All of the information leads Yukio to understand, okay, so Wolverine actually is walking into an ambush. It's not just a meeting. It's an ambush that has been set up with or without Shigematsu's knowledge now. Shigematsu probably is out of the picture more than anything else as far as what is going on with Kitty. So she gets information. Now she needs to pull everybody back in the building so she can tell Wolverine or go check on Wolverine or whatever. He's going into an ambush. So she's trying to pull Shumai up to the window, and as she's helping him get to the window, Carmen shows up and kind of surprises everybody. Shumai uses that distraction to then take Yukio, Yu-Gi-Oh is the card game. Yeah. Yukio and flips her off of the rooftop that they're on. So it would seem, but he just flips her into a needy position where she needs help staying on the rooftop. In the meantime, he grabs Carmen and he pitches both of them off the roof, and he saves himself staying on the roof. So his position, or actually the position of Shumai and Yukio, completely reverse, and you add Carmen to the equation as well. So now Shumai is safe, and Carmen and Yukio are plummeting through the air, which, interesting dichotomy here. Of course, Carmen is scared to death. Falling is, who knows how many people's primal fear falling like that is. I mean, it's most of us don't dig that kind of stuff. Well, Yukio's like, no, it's just another day on the planet. It's cool. So she grabs him.
She's really into danger.
Oh, yeah.
Wolverine even makes comment, when he's narrating earlier, that he used to be just like her, but he's made some changes. He's not as bad as she is, but she's really into danger. I have never seen Wolverine like that.
Yeah. Now, he would do things knowing that there was danger and it wouldn't stop him, but he wouldn't purposely put himself in situations like Yukio does. So, yeah. So they're falling. Carmen thinks they're dead. Yukio knows that they're not. She'll come up with something. So she's looking around as they're falling, and she sees one of these big window wiper crane baskets that the people will raise and lower themselves on the face of a building to wash the windows. It's empty. It's just hanging here, which makes me wonder, how in the hell did the workers get off of this? If it's hanging halfway down, where did they go? Yeah. Anyways, further the story. You can't give in to stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Yukio is falling with Carmen as they fall. She directs their fall somehow. I don't know. Grabs the end of that device, that basket. It breaks from its moors on the side where she grabs it, swings because it is still attached at the other side. And rather than swinging along the building, right, which is what you would think because it's hanging out of it and swings along. No. It swings directly into the building, which would mean that it was oriented 90 degrees from what it actually was. And if you're watching the video, you can see me, right? Because this is it, and this breaks here, and it swings into the building. Okay. If it's like this, and it breaks, it swings this way along the face of the, okay. Anyways, go ahead, Steve.
It all made perfect sense to me when I was 12.
Of course it did, yes. It did to all of us. I'm not bashing you. We were all like, no, wait, the physics,
That's so cool.
You don't learn about that until you're in high school or college that, the physics of that just wouldn't have worked. No, it wouldn't have, but who cares? Swings the end, and between the fact that it's swinging and the fact that the bottom is free also, the whole cage just shatters windows in the building and allows them to land much like what Captain America in one of the Avengers movies does this very same thing, lands inside the building safely on the floor in amongst all the broken glass. So she was right. He was wrong. You were afraid for nothing, you wuss. So, she threatens the samurai, calling him a mountain of soot. How many people out there know what soot is? But okay. We shall meet again one last time. So she's kind of taking a page out of Wolverine's book. You didn't kill me, so when I come back,
I'll kill you.
Okay, so Carmen is safe. Yukio is safe. They have escaped, arguably, Shikamatsu. I mean, the bodyguard dude knows that they're somewhere in the building. Would he not raise an alarm? And I assume that given who he is, Shikamatsu probably owns the entire building. So sending people out to look would not be hard, but...
Yeah, there are alarms going off, and she does tell Carmen that in minutes, the floor will be crawling with guards.
So we cut back to Wolverine, or so we think. Who we cut back to is the person that attacked Wolverine, running around the back streets of Tokyo looking for him, finds his hidey hole and realizes he's not there, and then decides, probably this has been a setup, so I need to go ahead and get the heck out of here. But Wolverine was close enough watching that he picks up on her and resumes, at the very least, the pursuit. At the same time he decides to follow her, Kitty, I'll just go ahead and say who it is. Kitty realizes that she's being followed, so now she's not just going somewhere or what have you, having searched for Wolverine and not found him. Now she is trying to run and escape from Wolverine because she knows that he's following her.
And I love that he's like in full stakeout mode up at the top of this building waiting for her.
He's been waiting for her to come back. Yeah, he's chilling.
They actually show him putting it out before he starts chasing her. It's just such a weird thing to do. I just love it.
He's been ready for a while because he had enough time to pull a cigarette and which, where does he keep those? Yeah. Anyways.
You think that smoking, I mean, obviously smoking doesn't affect him because the healing factor takes care of it. But if his healing is still kind of mending up some stuff, why would he add the smoke to it?
Not only that,
why would he make it more difficult?
Those of us that don't smoke can distinctly pick up smokers.
Yeah.
The cigarette smoke on them, what have you, how he smells is not going to change because he can heal. The fact that he's somewhere in the wind smoking is not going to change because he can heal. So it's like...
Yeah, you'd think for someone who hunts using his sense, he would not be up there just smoking away.
Right.
Because my first thought, of course, as a 12-year-old, I didn't even think about it. But my first thought reading this last night was, he's giving himself away. He's just standing there. I mean, not only do you have the bright cherry that's going to be...
that as well. Yeah.
It's just silly.
And maybe that is what he was doing. Maybe he knew that she would come for him. And he wanted her to know that he was waiting as part of the psychological games that Wolverine likes to play. So he decides to follow her and doing the appropriate thing when you're being tracked as a human being, you run into the largest group of human beings you can find to try to lose yourself. Well, it doesn't work with Wolverine. He's already got a lock on her. He gets close enough. She attacks him with some nunchuck and sai that she has squirreled away in her body's cavities somewhere. And no, she's got him in her outfit, which is probably just as bad running around with those things. But anyway, she has him, attacks him. It doesn't work. He disarms her. She does some ninjutsu flippies and gets away. She runs away and jumps atop one of the trains. To me, this looks like an EL. It may go underground at some point, but while they're fighting, it's an elevated track. So she runs and gets on top of it trying to get away. And Wolverine, that's not enough. Wolverine is able to get on top.
And he at this point has realized who it is. He just doesn't say it out loud.
She does the whatever concoction in the eggshell bomb thing, whatever, with one of the smoky things, and gets away. He jumps at her, jumps through the haze, right, and realizes she's gone. He quickly surmises that, well, she couldn't have done this, she couldn't have done that. She had to have phased through, and that is the final who this is indicator is honestly, there haven't been too many mutants in the Marvel Universe that have this power.
Yeah.
She is definitely one of the few. So anytime somebody phases, it narrows it down to just a handful of people of who it could ever have been. But and I just say that because it occurs to me that this is one power that they haven't really used a whole lot.
Yeah.
So he goes from atop the train to inside the train trying to find her, because that's the only way she could have escaped, is by phasing into the train and maybe on through or run off or whatever. So he goes into the train to try to find her. We cut to Yukio and Carmen, who this is Yukio's car. So she has a police band monitor on her in her car. She can monitor the radio dispatches from police. Finds out that something is going on the train because it's gotten called in, and they're responding to these two crazy people running along the roof of the train, I guess is probably how it was called in, which would be Kitty and Wolverine fighting. Yukio knows that Wolverine is there, so I guess at this point she knows he must have survived the ambush that she was going to warn him about, but didn't get to him in time, because this is after. So, anyways, I don't know, it's not really addressed, but I'm like, what about? Yeah, so she runs into the train station, tells Carmen to keep up with her running on the tracks. There's an access road right over there. Go, as we're running, keep up with me. I don't know why, but we cut back to some rail yard stuff here, trains and tracks, and Kitty and Wolverine running and jumping and hiding and doing all this stuff. Some pretty cool scenes. I don't know how many other artists would have been willing to draw trains in a train yard.
Right.
That sounds like one of those things that there are artists that have just sworn it off, like, motorcycles and horses. But nope, here it is. And it's done pretty well. I mean, they don't look bad at all.
Yeah.
Kitty is starting to wear down, we're told. Wolverine realizes that. Yukio is catching up with Wolverine. She has got a bead on him, I guess, running around the train yard enough. She finally caught sight of him and knows where he is, what direction he's running, whatever. So she knows I need to go at least over that way to catch him, even though we don't know how far behind. They do use the opportunity to introduce the bullet train that Japan is famous for. And so they're Kitty and Wolverine pretty much are the ones affected. They're running around the rail yard at the place that the tracks for the bullet train go through. Now, this kind of confused me here. The bullet train, that's in quotes, because I don't think that's what the Japanese call it.
Yeah.
With a top speed of over 200K, 160 miles per hour. Now, it threw me because isn't 200K 200,000?
Yeah, I wonder if they're trying to say
km per
I think
hour,
if they
kilometers per hour.
Exactly.
Yes. But that's not what it says. It says a top speed of over 200,000. And I'm like, dog, 200,000, nothing equals 160. That math is not, no.
Yeah, that wasn't,
So Mr. Editor or Mrs. Editor kind of botched that one.
Yeah,
to me, that's a huge mistake. But I saw that. I'm like, a top speed of over 200,000. What? The bullet train didn't go that fast. And then I read the rest. I'm like, oh, kilometers. A top speed of over 200 kilometers. But then speed, you would also have to put per hour. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I'm being a geek here and nitpicking, but
because it's almost like, you would say this car has up to speeds of 60 to 80 miles an hour. So that's almost what it looks like, except for they're using the highest number first, and it's way higher. 200,000 is, it's like this car can go from anywhere from 1 mile an hour to 200,000 miles.
It's like, what is that? Approaching escape velocity or so? You know, I'm like, well, that's the same as saying, well, this car has a top speed of 60 miles. What?
Yeah.
A top
means
speed.
It can travel 60 miles and then that's it. Done.
Yeah. It's like, but that's not a speed. Okay.
No, it's not.
So anyways, that was, and that was pretty early on in this bullet train. But it's cool, first, that they used the bullet train. But also what's cool is the fact that they used a bit of, even though they botched the physics up here at the top.
Yeah.
Later on here, they used the physics in that metric system. Being a biology major and then a geology major, much as I didn't like it, I had to learn to be able to go from English to metric.
Bill from Long Island says metric system. I mean, to me, everything's in tens and fives, so it would be easier for me.
It would be easier, yes.
But
that's not what you were taught, so that makes it harder.
Yeah.
It's,
when it comes
it makes more sense. Yes.
Yeah. If I had my choice, I'd go metric. But because we don't do metric, I'm forced to try to convert from English to metrics, and it doesn't,
Right. Yeah, English. Look, I don't care how big the king is or the distance of the king's anything. What 5 and 10. There's 5 and there's 10 and there, So leave it to Europe, English, to have come up with something that maybe is better than American. I'd say, okay. What was it? My wife and I were talking about the difference between gallons and a weight. 25 pounds and 5 gallons. And I, in the middle of our conversation, as I was saying how you couldn't do that, I dropped the word avoirdupois. And she was like,
yeah, that's what I'm going for.
That is the overall term for weights and measures. Ounces. Avoirdupois is the type of system that is.
Avoirdupois.
Like metric, English, whatever. The cups and ounces and half ounces, and that's avoirdupois.
Huh.
So
never heard that before.
Yeah. So anyways, there you go. The more you know. Sorry. So the physics, the bullet train, they missed the bullet train. They're not hit by it. Wolverine does something, and Kitty, I think maybe she has reached her limit, and she's on the train as the train is approaching and really doesn't have any juice left.
Yeah.
Wolverine saves her, but in saving her, they get caught up in the wash of the 200,000 mile an hour or kilometer an hour train as it zooms by, and they get rolled by that. And I thought, I don't know if that's what would happen, but that's pretty cool that,
Well, and it hasn't reached top speed yet. It's leaving.
Just starting out, yeah.
Yeah, so it's freaking fast, but it hasn't gotten to top speed yet.
So they take a tumble. She loses the mask, and so this is where we're going to see that Wolverine was correct, because we have seen his inner narration as he is the narrator for the issue, talking about it. And on the next page, actually, it's interesting the way they did this. The top third of the page, the final page, you see Wolverine, you see Kitty, you see Yukio, and you see Carmen, all of them.
Yeah.
Various amounts of how wrapped up into the storyline they are, but we see all 4 of them lined up here. Kitty is about to attack in the top panel. She has drawn a sword, which she pulled from, I don't know, the same place that she was storing the nunchucks and the sai. I don't know where you store those things in that outfit, but okay. And she hauls off and she stabs Wolverine in the final panel, dead center, exiting his body with the end of the sword. So it's not like a little jab or a little Zorro. No, it's a gutting. She's gone all the way through him, rather explosively here, and that is the final panel.
The Comic Book Super Show will return after these messages.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what that Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all those games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Come explore the Hyborian Age and tread the jeweled thrones of Earth with me, Stephen Orr, and the Hither Came Conan podcast. Together we'll look at Conan the Barbarian, the Marvel Comics series that began in 1970, one issue at a time, along with any other Conan comics I can get my hands on. Subscribe to Hither Came Conan now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Enough talk.
An heroic legacy beginning in 1941 that spans time, space, and the whole of the multiverse. Journey along with the Knights of the Stars. Ted, David, and Jack. They, along with Will Payton, Michael Thomas, Prince Gavin, Tom Kalor, and Courtney Whitmore. They take the mantle of Starman and continue his legacy. I invite you to listen as I journey through these adventures of all these heroes and the rest of the Starman family here on Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, coming February 2023.
And now back to the Comic Book Super Show.
So the final panel is that Kitty exposes herself. Exposes her face. We know that it's Kitty, and we see her kill Wolverine. That is what is implied here.
That's why the title of this issue is Death.
Death, because the next issue is entitled Rebirth.
Yeah.
Oh, so she doesn't kill Wolverine. Maybe that's Kitty's rebirth. Maybe this shocks her and she comes out of her evil bad guy phase and back into her where the hell am I, what have I done phase. Because that's always the next phase.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Hit her in the head in the right spot. Boom. Oh, now I'm back to where I normally was.
Exactly. That's all it takes. It's to reprogram is just a knock on the head with a pool cue or cue ball or whatever. WTF, no. Kitty? Bill said, well, I think that, the WTF is pretty obvious here if you can see the panel. It's
It's a great panel. It's a great ending to this issue.
It's been building up. There's the conflict. There's the running fight in this, and it ends with, Wolverine's death. That's like, dude.
Readers nowadays, of course, we'd read this and go, of course, he's not dead.
Well, because of how many times have we seen this at this point,
But even if at 12 years old, I was thinking, well, they didn't kill him. Obviously, they wouldn't do that. I'm still thinking,
why not?
What's going to happen in the next issue?
Well, maybe they did kill him for a little while. I mean, even then, that would be unheard of. Nowadays, that's what they'll do. They'll kill Wolverine, and 2.5 years later, he'll pop up, and But here, it's like, no, usually for the most part, somebody that died here at this point died. They were gone. What is it? Everyone has come back except Ben Parker. Is that what they say? I think even Ben Parker has been brought back. So nobody, I don't believe in the Marvel Universe has stayed dead.
Yeah, because it used to be there were 3: Colossus, Ben Parker, and
Bucky.
And they bring Colossus back. Then they bring Bucky back, and if they've...
Actually, the only people that have stayed dead were all of the bad guys that were in the bar with no name when Scourge came through and killed them all. I believe all those guys have stayed dead. I don't know.
That was some good stuff. Bill from Long Island says, looking at this panel with...
how much that
Kitty Pryde. Yeah. He's picturing Men in Black, Tony. I'll have to put that in.
That Tony Shalhoub, but that's good.
But you'll notice we saw the same thing when Wolverine pulled the arrow out of his leg.
Mm-hmm.
There are spurts of blood.
Yeah.
But it's colored black.
Well, yeah, which you can't show blood.
Yeah, they would do the same thing in the Conan books. And I've always theorized, well, that's the only way they can get blood splatter by the Comics Code Authority is by showing it as black. Right. But to me, it's almost more gory when the blood is black. It's like, to me, that feels like, oh, that's a killing blow because the blood is black. You know, he's already dead.
But we don't have blood. We have red blood.
You're talking about a little kid. I was 12 years old.
I don't get it. Little kid, you don't make sense. I don't get it.
Well, no, I didn't make a lot of sense.
Lots of red would be the thing. I mean, that would be like they do now. Now you have covers where people are laying in huge red puddles, and it's like, oh, I wonder what that is. Yeah,
maybe that's why, for me, seeing it as just solid black blood, for me, it just seems more creepy. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Any final thoughts before we look at some ads?
No, I don't think so. Just I like the running fight. The two face off. One gets the better of the other. There's a respite for a little while, and then there's this running fight through Tokyo. This running fight through the rail yard. The usage of the bullet train. All of that I thought was fun. Yeah. The fact that she can reach into some interdimensional portal that she carries with her and extract a weapon to use, I wasn't too keen on, because look at how she's running, okay? She's running everywhere, and she has a katana on her. She has at least one sai. Now, usually I think you work sai in pairs, so she probably should have another one on her. She has a set of nunchucks on her, but she's running like a crazy person all over the place, carrying all of these things. No, I'm sorry. I can't suspend that much disbelief. It's not going to work.
Bill from Long Island points out that
people
Captain
who
Marvel,
stay dead, but he came back in the Cancerverse story because he was the dude in charge of the prison that Mr. Fantastic set up.
That's right.
In the negative zone, the prison for the heroes. He was the commandant of the prison, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but I think they pulled him out of time. I don't think they brought him back to life.
Yeah,
I think they grabbed
I'm not
him
sure
before
where they got him, but that was the first place I really saw him come back, and I was like, of all the ways you could do it, that's what you did with that. That was because he died of cancer. That was a big deal at the time. That was huge. He was a huge Marvel character for years. He had kind of fallen off the board for a little while. And then he pops back up and he's sick and he has cancer and he dies. And it's like,
see, and all of that happened before just before I started getting into comics. So I missed
death of Captain Marvel. Yeah. But that was huge.
Yeah.
And see, the biggest problem with that story, if you read it now, there is no way that it's going to have the impact on anybody that it would have then.
It didn't have hardly any impact on me because I wasn't.
It's just a story about the death of it. It's like, it's. If you can't put yourself back then mentally, it doesn't have anywhere near the impact. So, okay.
My final thoughts on this issue, based on what we got out of issue 1 and then the way issue 2 ended, I think this issue gave us, everything we wanted. I would agree with that. We get the Wolverine facing Kitty, and I think it gave us something that we weren't expecting, which is Kitty
being better than Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly.
She was better than Wolverine anytime the two of them got face to face in this issue. Yep. She was the victor. And it's like, but I thought Wolverine was
he can't touch her. And I think if he had known who he was going up against at first,
he could have
done something. Yeah.
Sure.
But he didn't know. Yeah. And once he realized who it was, I think it took him a while to really process that.
I'm sure.
They make a comment here. Let's see, the second to last page. It says, "I make sure to land on my feet. I suppose I've known the truth from the moment I spotted her scent. I just didn't want to believe it.
Yep.
But I've got no choice. And so now that I finally see the ninja's face, that's my last mistake. So I think, of course, because early on he says he's caught the ninja's scent, and then says, of course, there's only one scent that could be, and I don't understand how that's possible, because you can't be that good at her age. He was like, I've been training to be this good for longer than a lifetime. And
not only that, but at this point in the X-Men's world, the most affection that you will ever see between two characters is between Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. Not icky kind of affection.
No, right. Yeah.
Wolverine kind of, I will lay my life down for you kind of affection. I mean, it is, I understand it's a comic book, of course, and whatever you want to bitch about comic books. But she, at this point, Wolverine, this was the only outlet that he had for any affection that he wanted to express to anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody else had died or taken away from him or anything. But this child, this 13 or 14-year-old girl who got thrown into this world of mutants and saving the world and universe and all this stuff, Wolverine is going to protect her because of her, but also because it's Kitty. And however he has to do it, he at this point would be willing to do anything, including give up his life for her. Yeah. So there is no way that this is the person that I feel for that has betrayed me. This can't be. This is not who this is. Something else must be going on.
Exactly.
And he hasn't figured it out yet, but it's like, this is like betrayal on like a molecular everything about me kind of level, not just I didn't think they were capable. It's like, no, this is like everything you have ever done has now been betrayed because this person is fighting you, and in this very moment, this person has likely killed you.
Yeah, and I think it's because of her skill, because, he gets her sent. There's only one person that could be, but that doesn't make sense. How could she be this good? I think, obviously, if it was just the simple fact that she'd gone bad, he would, you got mastermind, you got people like that can control people's minds and blah, blah, blah. But how did she get this? This can't be her. That's kind of been my theory during that fight, is that once he realizes that's her scent, he's like, smells like her. It just can't be her. Then she phases into the train and he's like, ugh, that's gotta be her. But how can it be her? And it's not until he sees her face that he's like, holy shit, it is her. And I think he's stunned for just long enough for her to just crank that sword right through his body.
Yep.
So yeah. All right. Let's talk about some ads. I really combed over these ads last night when I was looking through this.
Okay.
So our first ad is a free shirt with every specially marked monogram kit for Terry Labonte's Piedmont Monte Carlo SS Grand National Race Car. So what? We're getting
the T-shirt is the I'm Crazy T-shirt with the person driving. What is that? Is that a Corvette?
Looks like it. Everything went away for a second and then came
Corvettes.
Back.
Oh, cool.
That's weird. But yeah, you just cut out this little part from the page in the comic. Fill it out, send in $5.95 plus $2 for shipping and handling, and you get one of these free shirts. That's $5.95.
Well, that's for shipping and handling. That's not for the shirt. Yeah. So the shirt is free.
The $2 is shipping and handling.
Oh, so it is $5.95. Okay. $6 for the shirt.
But what are they getting? It's oh well.
Wish t-shirts were $6 now.
Right? No doubt.
Dude.
We then turn the page. We have another of the Fig Newton ads. Find your way to the Fig Newtons. This has got Apple Newtons. This is the ad for their Apple Newtons, which I remember liking, but I don't think you can get anymore.
I don't think so.
It's a maze. Bonkers fruit candy ad, which looks like it was drawn by somebody from Mad Magazine. It really has a Mad Magazine feel.
True that.
But Bonkers, which is candy. It was just like a taffy candy in a square that had a softer bit of fruit filling in the middle of it. So
never had them.
I'd had them back then, but the ad campaign was like, they make you go crazy with flavor.
They're from Nabisco. Isn't Fig Newtons Nabisco also?
I think so.
Fig Newtons is Nabisco. Yep. So they must have a contract with Nabisco as a whole.
Yeah,
about products.
Another one of those Secret Wars ads.
Yep. With the Dr. Doom needing a shield. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Another multi-ad page. I looked through this last night, and with the exception of 2 ads, everything on here is for somebody who's selling back issues, a place to get their catalogs, get their lists, all that stuff. We got the Robert Bell Thor B guy at the top that you pointed out last time, because that is a classic ad that we probably saw in every single Marvel comic at the time. But the two non-comic book ads you can for $12.95 plus $2 in shipping and handling.
That's expensive.
You get a brand new Hohner Great Little Harp Harmonica, a big 64-page lesson book, and a record. And it says that you will be playing within minutes, playing the harmonica.
That's a lot of money.
Actually, there's 3 non-comics.
That's $15, man. That's
yeah. And another one that you'd cut out.
Mm.
I think most kids who were smart, who wanted to do this, my local library had a Xerox machine that you could go in and you plunk in a dime and you'd
make a copy.
They probably just go into places like that, make a copy of that, cut it out, boom, 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 go.
I hope so.
But we got an ad for karate, self-defense, and an ad for, I think we've had this ad each time as well.
I think so.
Fake $1 million gold banknote that you can you can get.
Flip back for me. I also want to say right here in the middle, free comic list, Mile High Comics.
Yep.
At this time, you could subscribe to a free newsletter that he sent out that initially had interviews and things like that, like a fanzine would, and then it would become a price list for the books he had available. After doing that monthly for X number of years, he cut out all the extraneous stuff and just made it a price list. So when Chuck Rosansky first started making this, it was actually classified as a fanzine because it had interviews and you could write letters and he would answer questions and stuff like that, and then morphed into just being a price list over time. You can find issues of this on eBay.
Cool. Huh. Well, I will be in Mile High Comics in April, so
don't get lost.
I'll ask him about it.
If he's there, he'll probably be out getting Navajo pottery or making a run to the Los Angeles toy market to buy toys, or who knows.
Next page is another page of comic places to get back issues, though we do have a G.I. Jason, another G.I. Jason club. I'm going to look this up. I started to earlier. I found an Instagram post that shows that very ad, and the caption says, "I'm not saying the G.I. Jason Club is sketchy, but I'm just saying I wouldn't let anyone know I'd join it. This has got to be the 1985 equivalent of clicking a viral spam link voluntarily. If you joined this club and lived, I'd like to hear about it. I do not hear from anyone. I assume that no one lived." So yeah, I keep meaning to look into this.
Well, you would only get free details in a catalog by responding. So
yeah.
It's not a big deal. If they took you, they would have to take you later. At least this initial thing was just for details in the catalog.
Yeah. There's an ad for models at a place called The Cosmic Connection in Waltham, Massachusetts. There's a ad to draw how to learn how to draw superheroes from the E. Phelps Company out of Cleveland, Ohio. Any of these ads on these two multi-ad pages leap out to you?
The models ad right here on this page. Do you know what that second model is?
It looks like the ship from Robotech.
Yeah, is that the Battleship Yamato?
I think so.
Model? That's pretty cool, because the top one is the Enterprise. Any geek worth his salt would recognize that one. But that second one, it's like, I think you had to be into anime really to understand that one. That's, but the Space Battleship Yamato, or I forget what the name of the
actually looking at it closer. I don't think it is, because
you think it's just a submarine.
No, I think it's from something, because the models say imported model kits, futuristic robots, spaceships, TV, and more.
So did I get it wrong? Is that not Space Battleship Yamato? Because the angle of that reminds me of something, and that is the name that came to mind.
No, it does remind me of it, but this front part here doesn't look, because the front part is where it would split apart to be the legs. And so it kind of had a flatter, squarer.
Okay.
But I feel like I've seen that image somewhere, and I think it's a space
science
ship of some sort.
Okay.
Anybody know? Let us know.
Well, if you can see the model's ad, I mean, if you can't see the ad, you can try to help us, but it'll probably be an uphill battle.
Look at this ad next to it above the Golden State Comics. Amazing and fascinating products you can build. Lasers, phasers, ion ray and plasma guns, see in the dark, and lightning generators, plus many more. Send $2 for full catalog.
Is that not enough to send $2 for a catalog? I mean, come on. That is like, dude, any one of those, much less two or all of those. Yeah, that is definitely written for, the 8 to 13-year-old male kind of, that's.
All right. Next ad is for the NFL Super Pro. Joined the NFL Super Pro Club today. Wasn't interested as a kid.
Nope, never did much with that.
Okay. Then we have an ad for the official Marvel Comics tryout book. I think this was an amazing thing back then where you could buy this book. It would, I never owned it, so I don't know exactly what was in it, but I know that just based on this ad, you could get a job at Marvel Comics, either writing, penciling, inking, lettering, or coloring, because the tryout book had stuff in there that allowed you to do that and send it to Marvel. And then they would decide if they wanted to hire you.
Yeah.
And I know that there have been people that were hired through this. I just can't think of any names.
Oh, a lot of people our age talk about having gotten this and whether they actually sent it in. So, I mean, this, as far as getting people's interest, this worked. People ordered this to do this. Now, whether they did or not, and you say people got hired. I don't know that I have ever heard someone say that this was the first thing they ever did. So I haven't heard that.
See, I feel like Mark Bagley got hired through something like this.
Okay.
It wasn't this, but it was like some kind of talent scout thing that they had sent out. But this ad has Jim Shooter at his desk, the publisher of Marvel Comics, and his desk features a teddy bear dressed as Captain America.
Yes.
A monkey, the monkey with the symbols.
Right.
And a gumball machine. And so I have to assume those were actually on his desk back in the day.
Spider-Man is turning in the tryout. Yes. So Spider-Man is trying out.
It should have been Captain America, though, because we know that Captain America at this time
goes
on to start drawing Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think he draws the Captain America Marvel comic.
Is that what he draws? Okay, I don't remember that.
Because I don't know whose idea it was, but it was a brilliant idea to have him walk around with that portfolio, which was this big flat case that was perfect to hide his shield in.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that.
I have to assume that was an artist who had that idea.
Sure.
He's like, damn, look at this portfolio I just got. I could hide Captain America's shield in there. That's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got now. Okay, I read through this Bullpen Bulletins page, and I want to read this little section for you. First of all, the first two, each of these sections, or at least the first two, are titled with songs from the 80s. But I want to talk about Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So this is written by Jim Shooter, and he says, at the splendiferous Chicago Comic-Con, I met Colleen Doran, the beautiful, talented, and diabolically clever artist who illustrates A Distant Soil, published by Warp Graphics, the same charming people who bring you ElfQuest. Have you ever read A Distant Soil?
Yes.
I never read it. I keep meaning to.
Don't read this one. Read it when she takes it back over and reissues it.
Okay, cool.
She reissues it for a little while under her own publisher and then finishes up to present under Image.
Okay, cool.
But
cool.
Yeah, read it. I think the name of her company was A Distant Soil. I think that was the name of the publisher she used. But don't read the Warp Graphics one.
Okay. But this continues, noticing the rather large number of good-looking guys on the Marvel creative staff, she suggested that on this page, we run a Marvel Hunk of the Month feature. She suggested John Romita Jr., Bill Sienkiewicz, Carl Potts, and a few others for openers. Well, I'm game. If you ladies out there demand it, what do you say? And then they have John Romita Jr. front and center as the Hunk of the Month.
He reminds me of Carmine from Laverne and Shirley.
He does.
That's who he reminds me of.
He does. Yeah. Anything about this page?
I like the hype box and I like the checklist down at the bottom. This checklist is just a huge nostalgia machine for me as I read across this. I remember my comic books came from a mass market supermarket spinner rack at the magazine section. And so I can remember spinning it and seeing these covers, sometimes spinning it, hoping that they had the issue before or two before of a book Sometimes you'd run into that, like you talked about the cover date on them and things. I just that is a very distinct memory, is pulling books that I wanted to read, if I even left the store with them, off of a spinner rack. Usually I would spin until I found something, and then I would sit right there next to it and read them, because Mom and Dad were shopping. I didn't need to walk around, or actually Mom was shopping. Dad was probably, who knows. I didn't need to be there, but here I could be, and I could read comic books, and usually that's what I did.
Growing up in small town Eudora, Kansas, population 3,300 and growing, we had a small grocery store called the Market Basket, and they didn't have a spinner rack, but they had a magazine rack, and that's where
they put comics
I get a lot of my comics.
Yeah.
Looking at the checklist, though, a couple things to point out. At this point, as this issue here of Kitty Pryde and Wolverine has been released.
Oh, that's very cool. Read Bill's comment.
Bill from Long Island says, Junior's
JR.
John Romita Jr.'s brother Victor was my brother's high school science teacher.
That is just a cool connection. That's So that means that your brother had a connection to the Romitas, which are like one of the royal names of comic book art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But, okay, so looking at this checklist where Marvel is up to issue number 166 of Conan the Barbarian by this point.
Yes, okay.
I think my March episode of Hither Came Conan is for issue 41.
41, right? You got a ways to go.
How far behind I am.
Well, they also have a King Conan for 26, number 26
King
here.
Conan.
They have the Savage Sword of Conan over here in the black and white for 107.
Yeah.
So,
Savage Sword, yep. They also, this month, G.I. Joe number 31 came out.
Far along from where you are. You just dropped 3.
I'm up to 3.
Yeah. Yep. So, got a ways to go, but it's there. Yeah. You know that you'll. Oh, and then there's the Conan the Destroyer limited series here also.
Oh, I got to find that. That's the adaptation of my favorite of the 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movies.
Okay.
Conan the Destroyer.
He was also a handsome guy. Girls were enamored. JR's brother, Victor. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, if he looked anything like Carmine Ragusa here in the ad, that's,
He's still, I've seen video of him from maybe 2 years ago. He still looks like that.
His hair is different. Otherwise, you're like,
I mean, he looks
what does that dude do? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, turn the page. We have our subscription page. This one has changed from the previous month, which had Alpha Flight on it. Now we have Iron Man with an Iron Santa jacket and an Iron Santa hat on.
Yes, got to be very, and an iron sack. It looks like back there too.
Yeah,
there are rivets in it. So all that crap's got to be heavy, man. What the hell?
42 cents per issue prices.
So what is this? $5.50 for 13 issues, except the special titles. Those are black and white and magazines and stuff like that. So those are the couple epic comics down there at the bottom, Dreadstar and Alien Legion. They were better production values supposedly, so they charged more. But by and large, most of these were $5.50.
It's crazy. We have a video game ad for Activision. The Decathlon didn't even play a lot of sports video games.
Steven.
And then our final ad is another video games from Parker Brothers called Montezuma's Revenge, which I never
it's a video game about diarrhea? What?
I guess, yeah.
That's kind of weird. Yeah.
If you've got a mind like Einstein and reflexes to match, then Montezuma's Revenge is the game for you. It's a revolutionary game that challenges you to think smart, react fast. Join Panama Joe's search for buried treasure. Figure a way to get him over the fire pits, behind locked doors, through 100 rooms crawling with critters.
Panama Joe, was that the name of Camel Cigarette's Camel mascot?
No, he was just called Camel Joe.
Camel Joe.
No, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, Camel Joe. Not Joe. I'm thinking, or was he Joe Cool? I know Snoopy was Joe Cool for a while, but
I thought the camel's name was something Joe. Okay, Panama Joe. Okay.
Looking it up.
And so this
Joe Camel.
Joe
Camel was his name, yeah.
So Montezuma's Revenge is available for Apple II, Atari, Commodore 64, and IBM. Let's see. Atari computers, 2600, 5200, and the ColecoVision, as well as IBM machines.
So it came out in both disc form and cartridge form.
And cartridge, yes.
And we had the Commodore 64, and my grandma had an Atari 2600, but we never had this game.
It's because it's a sports game and you didn't play sports games.
No, this was an Indiana Jones game.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Well, but jumping and whipping and all that's sports.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, my daughter and I have been watching this show on Apple Plus TV called Shrinking, which Harrison Ford is on. He's a psychiatrist. He's not the main character. The main character is played by Jason Segel. But it's season 3. Season 3 is coming out right now. And in season 2, you find out that Harrison Ford's character, Paul, he gets Parkinson's. Or he has Parkinson's. And so he's dealing with that now in the 3rd series. And Michael J. Fox is a guest star on some of the episodes, also playing somebody who has Parkinson's. But there's a moment in the most recent episode where his doctor had told him he couldn't practice psychiatry for the time being because he was having a lot of problems with his Parkinson's and he was seeing things and whatnot. And he gets he goes to see his doctor at one point in this episode and they're like, okay, everything's looking good. The infection's gone. Your pills are doing what they're supposed to be. If you want to go back to work, you can go back to work. And he's really excited because that's the one thing he loves more than in life is to be a psychiatrist. So he shows up at work and he bursts in the door and he goes, dun, da, dun, da, dun, da, da, dun, da, dun, da. And I'm like, that's the Indiana Jones song. So Ron and I start talking about, does that mean, obviously that means Indiana Jones exists in this universe, played by a guy that looks exactly like this character.
There you go. Okay. Yep.
And this stuff's weird. I just thought that was funny. All right. That's all the ads. Any final thoughts?
I look forward to finishing the series and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I tell you, after that first issue, when I still had fun with it, I just didn't remember that not a lot really happened, and Wolverine isn't really in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after this one, it's like, the nostalgic feels are really coming back.
Yep,
big time. All right, I'll wrap it up then.
Alrighty.
In our next episode, well, what's happened to Wolverine following Kitty's death blow? Let's find out together in episode number 4, when Ed and I take a look at Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 4, Rebirth. So until next time, folks, I'm Steven, that's Ed, and this was the Superman Super Show. Thanks for listening.
Bye, y'all.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Comic Book Super Show. Questions and comments can be directed to the Comic Book Super Show at SoManyPodcasts.com. If you enjoyed the show, you can help to boost our presence online by leaving a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. I also invite you to join our subscription program, Steven or Else Beyond. And in return, you'll get episodes of the Comic Book Super Show early and ad-free. Check out the link in the show notes, or just go to beyond.stevenorelse.com to sign up today. The Comic Book Super Show is a presentation of Steven or Else Media. For more nerdy content just like this, check out SoManyPodcasts.com. All links will be in the show notes.
I just don't think I can move through life knowing that a guy named Steven did this to me.
How could you let this happen, Steven?
Steven! Thank God. I had a horrible feeling I was going to be the only one here. Want a piece of fruit?
Am I Team Edward? Yes.